If you are about to start a summer job, or really any job for that matter, this is a segment you don't want to miss. Ducerus College Solutions is here with the top 5 ways that you could get yourself fired. Now, Ron Carruthers joins us this morning. Ron, thanks so much for coming in.
You're welcome.
Okay, this may seem obvious to some of us when we get through this list, but you see this stuff, he said, every day.
Every day. And again, we thought the tips would be good because when you're in a school environment, for instance, one of the tips is don't show up late. Well, you got to be late 15 or 20 times before you really get in any trouble at school.
Yes.
You try that a couple, 3 times at your job, you're out.
And you're late at the university level. Your teacher doesn't. You're the one
missing out.
Care. You're paying for it.
They don't care.
Yeah. So, but on the job, totally different. You're a couple minutes late. Boom, you're dinged.
Right.
Okay, so let's go right to the list then.
So they seem obvious, but they may not be.
Okay, so let's see. Number 1 on the list is complain that things, quote, aren't your job. Like, I wasn't hired to do that. That's not my job.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Back to the boss, disrespect, complain it's not your job, act bored, complain you're bored, all that stuff. Again, people do that in school all the time. The class clown, it gets laughs. And the worst that happens is you get sent to the principal. But for teens that are going into a summer job or college graduates that are going into a summer job, it's really stuff that seems obvious, but you should be thinking about.
Okay, that's an obvious, but don't do it. I mean,
no.
Do not complain that you're doing something you weren't
there.
hired to do, because this is your first job. You need something on your resume.
Totally.
Let's not get ourselves fired. Number 2, don't show up late or leave early.
Again, we kind of mentioned it, but it's so obvious where people are like, we hear students like, I'm hungover. Well, they're not supposed to be, but I'm hungover, can I go home?
Really?
Or, yeah, I was just late. And like, again, at school, you get written down. At a job, a couple, 3 times, you're out.
Done.
You're done.
And even a few minutes looks bad. I mean, if you're supposed to be there at 9 a.m.,
right.
Don't be showing up at 9:05.
Right. And it's like my grandpa's comment about on time in the military is 10 minutes early.
Yes.
So, there you go.
I don't know if everybody still has that same sentiment, but we wish that people still did, or you keep yourself from getting fired. Okay, don't disrespect your boss, argue with coworkers, talk back. We kind of talked about this one already, but your boss is not somebody you want to be getting into a heated discussion with.
No. And guess what? I've been fired for that one.
You've been fired?
Yeah.
Ooh, this is Confessions of Ron Carruthers.
Exactly. But I mean, again, it was like, I'm used to arguing with my parents. Why don't I argue with the boss? He was wrong. Well, right up until I got fired because he was right. So again, it seems obvious. Just be cool and do your job.
So
and
even when the
act like
boss
you're
is
happy to
wrong,
be there.
they're still the boss.
They're still the boss.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out. Maybe. Maybe not.
Do not abuse company resources. This one, I think, a lot of people probably get themselves in trouble for. So let's say you work at a frozen yogurt shop. Your friends come in and you're handing them all frozen yogurt for free, giving them freebies, taking advantage of things that are only for the employees, like the discount. Don't do that.
Exactly. And again, it sounds obvious. You're like, well, I would never do that. But your friends show up and
the
you're
pressure
like, okay.
on you.
It happens all the time. Literally every day we see this stuff.
And I think people need to realize there are surveillance cameras everywhere. And a lot of good bosses and owners of businesses are watching and making sure that things aren't going out the back door.
Exactly.
Okay, the last one is, this one needs a category of itself, Facebook. Facebook will get you fired, my friends. Talk about the story of all stories, somebody that worked for you. Or did she work for you?
Oh, it goes on and on. No, it was one of our students that we worked with.
Okay.
And she got fired, and the list of people that have done this is incredibly long. But she got fired because she phoned in sick immediately after posting, it's a nice day, who wants to go to the beach, let's party, you know. And so her coworkers were friends, as was her boss.
Her boss was her friend on Facebook after she posted
it. Like, wait a second, you just called in. And of course, she pulled the whole, oh, I'm really sick, I can't come in. And then, what's up, let's party on the beach. And so it got her fired. But I mean, the list goes on. People complain about their bosses on Facebook. People talk about, oh, I'm so hungover, I had to leave work early. You know, when they told their boss their mom got sick or stuff like that. It's just, it's its own category.
I've seen a lot of people complaining about their bosses or their place of work on Facebook. Don't do it.
Legendary. When one of the managers of GM got fired, his daughter went on GM's Facebook page, which may be why they're not advertising with anymore, and put a XXX rated, multiple expletive-loaded rant against the bosses. So, I mean, you got to admire the loyalty to her dad, but come on, girl.
Yeah,
what are you thinking?
Yeah, people will remember that. So, Ron Carruthers from Ducerus College Solutions, thank you so much for coming in. I know this list can be obvious for a lot of people, but apparently it's not for a whole bunch of others.
Again,
so just a few things to keep in mind. Okay.